It's not often that an actor openly questions the direction of the character that made him a global star, but this time, it happened. When Sam Heughan hinted that he didn't fully agree with a recent storyline involving Jamie Fraser, fans immediately took notice. Not because disagreements are unheard of, but because of what he said next. "That's not who he is," a simple line, yet one that carried far more weight than it seemed at first. And suddenly, everything felt different. For years, Sam has been more than just the actor portraying Jamie. He has become, in many ways, the guardian of the character, someone who understands not just the lines on the page, but the emotional truth behind them. After nearly a decade with Outlander, his connection to Jamie goes beyond performance. It's instinctive, almost protective. Which is why this moment stood out. Because this wasn't just a casual opinion or a light comment in passing. There was something more deliberate in the way he addressed it, a sense that the concern came from a place of deep familiarity with who Jamie is supposed to be. And when someone that close to the character starts to question a decision, it raises an important question. What exactly changed? The storyline in question hasn't been fully detailed, at least not in a way that confirms everything fans are speculating about. But the reaction to Sam's words suggests that whatever direction the character is heading in, it may not fully align with how he has been built over the years. And that kind of shift doesn't go unnoticed. Especially not by fans who have followed every step of the journey. Because Jamie Fraser isn't just another character. He's a symbol of consistency, of values, of decisions that feel grounded even in the most chaotic situations. When those qualities appear to shift, even slightly, it creates a ripple effect. Not just in the story, but in how the audience connects to it. That's where Sam's perspective becomes crucial. As someone who has lived with the character for so long, he brings an understanding that goes beyond what's written. He knows how Jamie reacts under pressure, how he processes conflict, how he balances strength with vulnerability. So when something doesn't feel right to him, it suggests a deeper disconnect. And fans are starting to feel that too. Online discussions quickly picked up on the comment, with viewers debating what it could mean. Some believe it points to a bold new direction for the story, one that challenges expectations and pushes the character into unfamiliar territory. Others worry that it might move too far away from what made Jamie so compelling in the first place. Both interpretations lead to the same tension. Because change, while necessary for storytelling, always comes with risk. And when that change involves a character as established as Jamie, the stakes are even higher. It's not just about what happens next, it's about whether that evolution still feels true. That's the heart of the conflict. And it's what makes Sam's comment so significant. He isn't rejecting the story entirely. He isn't stepping away from the character. But by expressing that moment of disagreement, he's acknowledging that there's a line, a boundary between evolution and inconsistency. And finding that balance is one of the most difficult parts of long-form storytelling. Because every new direction has to honor what came before. That's what fans are watching for now. Not just the storyline itself, but how it's handled. Whether it builds on the foundation that's already there, or whether it risks breaking something that took years to create. And in that sense, Sam's voice becomes more than just an opinion, it becomes a signal. A signal that something is shifting. And when something shifts behind the scenes, it doesn't stay hidden for long. Because the story on screen always reflects the choices made off screen. Which leaves one question hanging in the air. If this isn't who Jamie is, then who is he about to become? If that question lingers, who is Jamie about to become then the real tension isn't just on screen, but behind it. Because when Sam Heughan expresses doubt about a storyline, it doesn't happen in isolation. It reflects a deeper layer of the creative process, one where actors and writers don't always see a character the same way. And in a series as long-running as Outlander, those differences can become more pronounced over time. That's where the conflict becomes interesting. Writers are responsible for pushing the story forward. They introduce change, create tension, and sometimes take characters into uncomfortable territory to keep the narrative evolving. From their perspective, shifting Jamie into new emotional or moral spaces might feel necessary, something that prevents the story from becoming predictable. But from Sam's perspective, there's another responsibility: protecting the core of the character. After years of embodying Jamie Fraser, Sam isn't just interpreting what's written, he's internalized it. He understands the subtle boundaries that define Jamie's identity, the lines he would never cross, and the motivations that drive his decisions. So when a storyline seems to push beyond those boundaries, it doesn't just feel surprising, it feels wrong. And that's where creative tension begins to build. Not necessarily conflict in a dramatic sense, but a difference in interpretation that can shape how a story is told. It raises a critical question: who ultimately defines a character, the writers who create the narrative, or the actor who brings it to life? There's no simple answer, because both perspectives are essential. The writers provide direction, structure, and progression. Without them, the story doesn't move forward. But the actor provides authenticity, grounding the character in something believable and emotionally consistent. Without that, even the most compelling storyline can feel disconnected. And when those two elements don't fully align, the result is tension that audiences can sense, even if they don't know exactly why. That's what fans are starting to pick up on. The idea that something behind the scenes might be influencing what appears on screen. Not in a way that breaks the show, but in a way that subtly shifts its tone. A moment that feels slightly out of character, a decision that doesn't quite align with past behavior. These are the kinds of details that spark discussion. And once that discussion begins, it spreads. Some fans are firmly on Sam's side, believing that his understanding of Jamie should carry more weight than any single storyline. They argue that after so many years, he is the character in a way that no script alone can define. Others trust the writers, pointing out that evolution is necessary, and that discomfort can be part of growth. Both perspectives are valid. But the divide itself is what matters. Because it reflects a larger question about storytelling: how much change is too much? At what point does evolution become inconsistency? And how do creators balance the need for fresh narratives with the responsibility of staying true to what came before? These questions don't just apply to Outlander. They apply to any long-running story where characters become deeply ingrained in the audience's expectations. The longer a character exists, the stronger those expectations become, and the harder it is to shift them without resistance. That's the challenge facing the show right now. And Sam's comment has brought that challenge into focus. Not by criticizing the story outright, but by highlighting a moment where something didn't feel aligned. That honesty is what resonates with fans, because it suggests that even within the production, there are conversations happening, discussions about direction, about identity, about what feels right. And those conversations matter. Because they shape what ultimately appears on screen. If the writers adjust based on feedback, the storyline may evolve in a different direction. If they stay the course, the tension may become part of the narrative itself, influencing how scenes are played and perceived. Either way, the outcome isn't fixed, it's still being shaped. And that uncertainty adds another layer of intrigue. Because now, fans aren't just watching the story, they're watching how the story is being told. They're looking for signs of alignment or divergence, for moments that confirm or challenge what Sam hinted at. Every scene becomes part of a larger conversation, one that extends beyond the script. That's what makes this moment so significant. It pulls back the curtain just enough to reveal that storytelling isn't always seamless. That behind every character is a series of decisions, interpretations, and sometimes disagreements that influence the final result. And in this case, those influences are becoming visible. Not in a way that disrupts the show, but in a way that deepens it. Because understanding that tension, between actor and writer, between expectation and evolution, adds complexity to how the story is experienced. It invites the audience to think not just about what is happening, but why it's happening that way.